Oh, hey, I'm editor Justin. I'm the version of Justin that edits all the other videos you see that isn't just the regular podcast. Yeah, that's me. I do that. And for whatever reason, Toei doesn't want me to post this video. This is like my 50 billionth attempt to post it. So if you're seeing this, that means it finally worked. However, for whatever reason, they won't let me use clips from the show, so you're watching a not as good version of this video. I do have the full unedited version if Toei ever decides to let me post it, but for whatever reason, they won't. So instead of just watching boring silent footage whenever I use clips, you will now hear fun facts about Kamen Rider, except for Zi-O's transformation. For whatever reason, it won't let me post that like normally. I don't know why. I've tried editing the audio. I've tried messing with the lighting. So now what you get is Kamen Rider Zi-O reverse transforming, because it's the only way it would happen. If you want to see what his actual transformation looks like, it's on YouTube for free. It's pretty cool. You can Google it on your own. I'm sorry. Hey, maybe one day I'll find a platform where I could post the unedited version. Until then, enjoy the bastardized version of our video about Kamen Rider. Jordan is starting to become a fan. Enjoy.
Henshin! Well, the first thing that I watched is actually the last thing that I watched. Because I watched it not but an hour ago. Maybe an hour and a bit. I watched 3 episodes of Kamen Rider Zero-One.
Being the first Kamen Rider of the Reiwa period, Zero-One's name and motif are an homage to Kamen Rider 1. He is the first lead Kamen Rider to have a grasshopper as a central signature design motif since Kamen Rider Black RX, and returning to the traditional insectoid eye design since Kamen Rider Heisei. Zero one zero zero 1 1 0.
I can't talk too much about the story about this one, being that I only watched 3 episodes. But aesthetically, I like most of the suits. The main one is a little bit neon yellow for me.
Yeah.
I like the look of it. I think it would be better red.
I love it when Kamen Rider gets back to its bug roots. That's why I love its aesthetic. So I like that's a grasshopper again, because it started off as a grasshopper.
Yeah,
When it gets back to the
if it was more like a verdant green, like a deeper green,
Yeah.
I also think that would look better. It's just really the neon of it all.
Also, like, just as a series, I've seen more of it, but it's a bit disjointed. The conceit of it's like he's a CEO in training and he has to help the robots be better robots is weird. It wasn't working for me.
Not just that he has to help them be a better robot, but they're being hacked by this terrorist organization. He has to stop them from doing that because that's bad for the bottom line of the company.
Yeah, he's like.
Meanwhile, you have to
prove that the robots can be good and do good things.
Meanwhile, you have the 2 government AIM agents who are like bad, maybe.
I would say they're morally neutral.
I didn't get far enough to really see. In the last one I saw, the girl was talking to what appeared to be an evil bad guy.
Yeah, eventually the CEO of the company jumps in and he's also a Kamen Rider, and it's all right. Yeah, it's not one of my favorites. I found it kind of dry personally.
But it was the first series in the Reiwa period, which is noticeable because the other thing I watched was the last one of the Heisei. So
yeah, the Reiwa it's a lot more expensive looking. The camera angles are there's a bit more to it. Some of the special effects are a bit better quality. Yeah, it definitely has a different kind of sheen to it. It's hard to explain unless you're watching it.
But my other thing is that I think the main character would grow to be tiresome.
Yeah, he's the kind of main character where he starts off really silly, and then as he goes on, he has to quote grow up. One of those guys gets more serious as it goes on.
Yeah, which is also what Zi-O was like. Like he was really optimistic in the beginning, and by the end he was a bit more realistic and graded down. But he even when he was at his most optimistic, he wasn't like which is more what this guy is like.
To be fair, A lot of
This it would get tiresome.
a lot of this season got fucked with COVID. So like I know that they had a particular idea of what they wanted to do, and then they didn't end up doing it. And I think it has less episodes. And I it's apparently kind of falls a little bit in the middle. But yeah,
For me,
it's not one of my favorites.
What I'm discovering as I watch these shows, and it's both Sentai and Kamen Rider, but especially with Kamen Rider, these shows live and die by how much you like the main character.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
And he, right off the bat, I found him tiresome and kind of annoying.
Yeah, like I said, it didn't work for me. I think I've got about halfway through it. I've never finished it.
That's all I can really say about this one, having only seen 3 episodes.
True. Fair.
But that's Kamen Rider Zero-One.
0110111.
Oh,
The opening credits use the same font as Kamen Rider Zi-O, but only in the episodes where the opening song is not played at the beginning of the episode.
or rapid fire, and then we move on to the have scenes.
So the have scenes.
So my last one was a movie, Kamen Rider Heisei Generations Forever.
So, okay, this movie is non-canon to the timeline of the series Kamen Rider Zi-O and the finale of the series Kamen Rider Build. But, if you ignore that fact, judging from the date, December 2nd, this movie could take place between episode 12, This Is My Ex, My Stage, and episode 13, Ghost Hunter of the series Kamen Rider Zi-O.
I want to watch that movie. It looked fun.
Which was a Zi-O build crossover one, but it also has casts of Den-O and Rider W. They're also in it.
Ooh, Kamen Rider W.
And it has some lead actor voices from other ones as well in cameo roles. And plot of it is basically here there's the little blurb here which I can read. Sugo Tokiwa with Kamen Rider Zi-O and Sento Kiryu, who is Kamen Rider Build, must join forces with all Kamen Riders of the Heisei era against Tid, a super time jaka who intends to erase the entire history of the Heisei Kamen Riders. And so in the movie, one of the characters wishes that he can see Kamen Riders. So the Kamen Riders come to the real world, and they have to stop the Super Time Jacker from erasing all of them. And it's just a romp, Justin. It's just a delightful, like, hour and a half-ish romp. Hold on, I can tell you. 100-minute romp.
So I don't suppose I asked you this question. You don't know if that was the summer movie that year. The best way to tell us, does Zero-One show up in that movie at all?
No.
No, interesting. Because he would show up in the summer movie. That's where they typically get their big debut.
It's referred to in this as part of the movie war line.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Of the Kamen Rider series.
Fair enough. How many different Kamen Riders show up in this? It's just Kamen Riders, right? No Sentai in this one?
There's no Sentai in this one. Wait, was there a crossover between Kamen Rider and Sentai?
Oh yeah, I talked about it in the last episode.
Huh. No, this one was just Kamen Rider.
It's
specifically
Superhero Tensen.
Specifically Kamen Rider of the Heisei era. So it has hold on. What's going to be the easiest way to do this? Okay. You've got from the Zi-O cast, you've got Sugo as Zi-O.
I was just kind of
you've got
I was kind of looking for the different Kamen Riders that were in it.
That's what I'm giving you.
I don't need the whole cast of all of their shows. Just the individual riders.
I'm giving you the riders.
Gotcha.
That's where I'm looking at the cast list to get the rider. Sugo is a rider.
Yeah. Just the rider name would.
Gaze is a rider. Um, those two don't transform in it. From the build cast, you've got Sento Kiryu, who I think was a rider,
All right. Okay. So Build's in it. All right.
well, yeah, it's a build slash Zi-O crossover is what
Yeah.
it's.
I guess of the old riders is who I'm looking for. Just yeah. I don't need their individual
I
cast. Just
I
the
don't
riders.
I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't in this list. It just gives you the cast one, so
That's
I don't know
awful.
what rider they are. So Ryotaro Nogami.
That would mean nothing to me. You'd just be wasting your time.
Okay, well then I can't help you.
Okay, guess we're doing this myself. Okay. What was the name of the movie?
You've got Kamen Rider Agato, Kamen Rider Ryuki,
Oh yeah.
Kamen Rider Decade, Kamen Rider
Okay.
Ghost.
Interesting.
Those are there in voice capacity.
Oh really? So they don't actually physically show up. You just see them in suits.
Futaros, Momotoros,
Oh yeah, that's from Deno.
Uratos,
That's from Deno.
Kentaros,
That's from Deno.
Ryutaros.
That's from Deno.
Another double. And then yeah, you've got the Agata, the ones that I previously read.
Agato.
Those are the voiceover roles.
Agato.
Uh, there's yeah, I think that's most of the ones that are in it.
So is this after the show or like during the show?
Doesn't specifically say.
Interesting. You can
I
usually
wasn't.
tell.
That's where I was like I couldn't tell because
It
like
depends. Sometimes.
there was things in it that made me think that it might be like when they're forgetting who they are and they're existing in the real world, but they don't remember their stuff. Um, Guys and the girl like they show up in their school
Yeah.
outfits,
Like a lot of time.
which is like at the end of the show,
Yeah.
but.
It would depend
But
on.
Waz and Gaze and them, they don't turn into their Zi-O their second forms. They're in
Yeah.
their first forms. So
A lot of these movies, like yeah, they have what's called a summer movie festival, or roadshow, where the Kamen Rider and the Sentai they'll tour their movies together, and usually those movies take place after the show. So like as an example. And then they will have one where it comes like mid-year, and that's what it sounds like this is, and that usually takes place during the show.
this came out December 22nd, 2018.
Yeah, so it came out during the show. And so the summer one, usually like that's how the show ends. So like with Decade, his show ends on a big cliffhanger, and then that cliffhanger resolved in his movie. Or like Forze, he's got a movie where there's a girl Forze that shows up, and he's now older. That takes place after. So he has all the powers he has on the show. Or like Gaim has a one where he comes back. He leaves at the end of that series and goes off and does something, and it has him coming back, and now he's normal again, and it takes place after the show. So yeah, sometimes you can usually tell because there'll be like an in story explanation, especially if it's like the show ends with the character losing their powers. There'll be like an in the like how do you have your powers back line. It's usually how you can tell.
I don't think that was the point of this one, considering they were like coming to the real world and everything.
Yeah, that tells me that it was a mid-year movie. That it was like because they started doing the spectacle movies like your superhero Tysons and your that they considered to be more of a movie than just an extension of the show.
All I know is that this was fun and I enjoyed it. It was a silly, fun little like self-contained thing, which didn't need to make sense.
Self-aggrandizing. This is about the history of our show and celebrating this part of the history of this show.
So I had fun with it. It's on Tubi, so it's easy to find.
It's like that Super Sentai movie where it's like it's all the Super Sentais and it's just so you could see all of the costumes punching each other.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's fine. That's all you need some days.
That's all I really have to say about this one. It was fun.
Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, a screening of the film by Shout Factory at Anime Expo 2020 was cancelled. The film had its first live screening in North America on July 11th, 2020 via Nerdist YouTube channel and on Twitch.
For the thing that set all this off, the have not seen.
The big have not seen. The main thing. The one you have to watch the entire series for.
First
And
of
I
all,
did.
what series did you watch?
Well, Justin, you set me the goal of picking one and then explaining why I picked it. The one that I picked is Kamen Rider Zi-O.
I immediately apologize for all the bad pronunciations you're about to hear, but according to producer Shinichiro Shirikura, it was particularly difficult to cast a young man who could properly portray the main character Sugo's kingly aura. He mentioned that the actor Su Okuno was eventually chosen out of everyone else auditioning due to his unique outlook of the world and is considered an act of fate. This is also the 20th century in the Heisei period and the 29th series overall. According to the actor Gaku Oshida, his portrayal of guys is inspired by many rival riders of the past series, such as Kamen Rider Sa Sword and Kamen Rider Kaksa. Ooh, I didn't pronounce those right. He reveals that he relates more to them than the primary riders.
Yes, you were supposed to justify it. Yes, right.
Um, I picked it because the story sounded interesting. I actually, when I was looking, I had a Wikipedia open and I was scrolling through each of the different ones to kind of find one which most appealed to me. And so before I even saw what the suits looked like or what any of the visuals looked like, I read the story, which was bad Supreme Ruler is bad. People go back in time to try and make bad Supreme Ruler good.
Yep.
Sounded interesting. Had
Pretty much
time
it.
travel.
It's pretty much it. Yep. You were not expecting
And
it to
then,
get as convoluted as it does.
well, no, I didn't realize when I first picked it, I didn't realize it was an anniversary special.
Yep.
And so one of the big selling points of this was much like the Pirate Sentai that I watched previously, which was an anniversary for Sentai. This one was a anniversary for Kamen Rider, and so he's able to turn into all the Heisei era Kamen Riders. That's the point. Is he's collecting their powers, and
he doesn't turn into them so much as he
uses their powers.
Yeah, he uses their powers because like this show contains Decade, and Decade very much turns into the first 10. Now I think it's all of them, but back in the day it was the first 10 years of Heisei Riders. Like
when transforming, the Deca Driver belt would announce Kamen Rider. This was a direct reference to the 2009 American adaptation of Kamen Rider Ryuki, Kamen Rider Dragon Knight, in which the heroes transformed by yelling Kamen Rider.
That was like he doesn't turn into them per se.
No, he uses their powers and wears like an armored version of their stuff.
And they always look cool. Like they look cool.
Which and so my going into this, having not watched like I watched one of the ones that he gets, which as an aside, that was fun.
Right. Hey, I know that one.
That was the one episode where I could be like, hey, I recognize some of these characters. This is kind of fun.
Right.
It gave me an appreciation for how it must have felt for other people to watch all the other episodes. I didn't get those same emotions for all the other episodes.
I did.
But I could see how someone might.
Yeah.
And so that was my big goal with this one was I wanted to watch this one and say, if you haven't watched any of the other Kamen Riders, is it still enjoyable? Like, is it enjoyable as its own series, having not seen any of the other things? Overall, let me give my, and I'll let you give your jump in after. But overall, I would say yes. I think they do a good enough job introducing the characters of this show, explaining their motivations, and like introducing them as characters. So then when all the other like extrapular ones show up, it's like, I don't know who these are, but I get the point.
Yeah, I mean, it does a really good job of like, and that did happen. You asked me that question of like, there's a lot of moments where the show does kind of a like, ta-da, and you're like, yeah. I feel like I'm supposed. That happened to me a few times this week where I'm like, I feel like I'm supposed to know who this person is, and then you Google it.
Yeah,
You're like,
like
oh yeah, I am supposed to know who this person is.
Yeah.
I found
and then
of these like anniversary ones, I still think Gokaiger does it best in the sense that one required the least of me. This one did. There was a couple moments where there was some payoff to storylines from the other, like the one you were like, Kamen Rider Blade, the one where you were like, it feels like I'm supposed to like, yeah, if I didn't, I have no idea who this is, and it means nothing, and it feels
No
like a payoff
idea.
to a bit that I don't,
should know.
Yeah, that I should know, and that happened to me a few times as well, where I'm like, this feels like it's paying off a bit that I should know, and that's not on the show. That's on me.
Well, that's on me. I'm watching an anniversary thing.
Yeah.
Like I know what I'm watching, and I know what I set myself up for here.
Right.
But overall,
my question is,
I
though,
think it does.
Does it make you want to go back and watch any of the series that you saw pop up?
For this, yes.
Like, but I mean, like of the ones that aren't from. I mean, like of the old ones.
Yes, I'm saying for future episodes of this.
Oh,
yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, you're not on your own. You mean? Yeah. No. Hey, that's fair.
Independently, no, I can't.
I don't think I will ever do this independently again, just because this just gives me a reason to keep me.
Yeah, I don't need to. I'll do it for this.
Also, it's a really handy thing to watch on an airplane.
Like I wouldn't mind. There's a couple ones that were in this one where it's like a wizard.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't mind checking it. I believe is the sequel to Forza.
It is. Name 3 of the ones, if there is 3.
Oh, that's hard. Build.
You would like Build. You would like Build. Build is good
because I've seen it in 2 different things. For because of this.
That one gets really melodramatic, like really
Build.
Melodramatic.
Wizard.
Wizard's also pretty good.
And I'm inclined to say Decade.
Decade. I don't think the ending is very good, but the rest of it's pretty good.
I'm inclined to say Decade because he's so prominent in this one.
This is a sequel to. This is a soft. It pays off like I think him and destined become friends at the end. Like it pays off a great deal of his story because the thing with Decade is
like he was just one of the characters in this show where I was like, I don't know who he is. He feels important and he has a lot of overpowered abilities that I don't understand.
Yeah, his thing was he was the destroyer of worlds. I am Decade, destroyer of worlds. So the idea with his series is similar to this. Is kind of a companion piece in the sense that like. Everyone assumed he would become what was known as ultraviolet Decade and destroy all the universes. And his show ends on a big cliffhanger that pays off in a movie where you find out that was all a big ruse and that he wasn't actually going to do that. And yeah, and that shows a great soft introduction to that era of because none of the stories are right, so it doesn't give away anything, but you get the idea of what these characters' powers are. That's the nice thing about this is the like at least like for example Kuga shows up on that show, but it's a completely different actor and the story is completely different from the actual show, which is why when he shows up in this, it's kind of a big deal.
Another one of the things that I like in this show is so the bad guys, the time jackers, keep making alternate versions of the Kamen Riders, and so you get a lot of cool of the Another Rider versions.
Yeah.
Which, as an aside, I would have called them like alternate riders.
Probably because another is easier to say in that pseudo English. Probably.
Yeah, it just made it in the beginning until you explained it to me. It made it confusing. Like at first, I was confused as to what they were.
Yeah, fair enough.
It took me a couple episodes to be like, okay, so they're alternate versions of those guys.
Yeah, the evil. Oh yeah, the evil. Another version of them is the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some of the designs are legit good. Like some of them are creepy and upsetting looking, especially if you're a fan. Like. I think they go through all of the Heisei Riders, and like some of them, like if you're a fan, are legit upsetting. Like the one I really liked from the movie was Another W, where like when he turned his body, it looked like the mask. I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. There's a lot of them, and it's hard for me to remember them all. But there was definitely some cool ones,
Another
and
Forze, I
I
remember
like
being upsetting.
one of the things I like is they then have another Zio.
Yeah.
And I like that another Zio is able to like create and control all the other another
I see.
ones.
I
Like
didn't
that's
remember that. I saw you watching. I was like, I don't remember this character like at all. I clearly
um,
zoomed through the back half of the show because I do not remember that character.
but that was a thing that I liked. The back portion of the show is a little bit confusing because like one of the time jackers then is from another timeline and he takes control of this timeline, and then the good girl who we've known since the beginning, who didn't remember her name, is his sister, and then betrays Sogo. I think I got a little lost on the last little bit there, where it's like she betrays Sogo and turns into a Kamen Rider, and is like, "I'm on your side, bad guy," and guys had just been killed, and that's what makes Sogo tap into the Oma Zio powers. But then, like, all of a sudden, he's rewritten time, and she's a good guy again. And I'm like, it's a little wobbly, wibbly wobbly at the end
I
there.
do not
I might,
recall liking the
I,
ending.
I might have just gotten a little burnt out at the end. I don't know,
Yeah,
but
in my opinion, most all of these shows are 4 to 5 episodes too long. Like it's always like they solve the main conflict, they beat the bad guy, and there's somehow an additional 4 episodes left. And you're like, how is that possible? They've beaten the bad guy. This should be done.
my big thing for this one was the entire time I was just like, I don't understand how he becomes Omazeo.
Yeah,
Like
they
how
never.
the version that we see, like, okay, in the version that we see, he has a connection and that person dies, and I could see that causing him to be enraged by it and become like go down that path. But I'm talking in the original
Yeah,
timeline,
no, they never
when
explain it.
no one goes back in time, no one interferes, and everything happens the way that it's supposed to. I don't see how he becomes him.
Someone's gonna tell me in the comments, they're gonna yell at me and be like, "There's a movie or a V Cinema or like a YouTube short somewhere that explains how it happens." But in the show, I remember that being the one thing they never explain why he goes evil in that show. Like,
Or if they do, then I missed it.
I missed it. Two of us missed it because I do not recall them ever explaining it, and that being something frustrating me. I just remember the back half. But to be fair, a lot of these shows tend to kind of drag in the middle a little bit. Um, like a lot of them could be again 5-6 episodes shorter. Like there's just a lot of reiterating the same points over and over again, where you're like, okay, yeah, I get
Oh
it.
yeah, particularly in this one, the fact that like Guys doesn't trust him for way too long, and then he does trust him, and then they go into the alternate timeline where nobody remembers him, and then he doesn't trust him again, and it's like, we've done this. I don't need to do the him not
Yeah,
trusting him again.
we've
Come
done
on, man.
this. We've done this. It's been done.
I understand why he has issues with him. It's completely understandable and realistic. But from a from a show standpoint, it's tedious.
It's yeah, super tedious. So is that it?
Yeah, I enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I like. There's a lot of it I like. There's a lot of it it gets confusing. But like I say, when you connect something to Decade, it's always and it involves time travel. There's always going to be an element of confusing. It's just
I will
nature of
say
the beast.
also, like I said before, I think this show does the better version of the he's the friendly, like, I'm going to be king
Yeah.
version of the character. I think this one's better.
Yeah. Like I said, the best breakdown of what Kamen Rider protagonists tend to break down to is Tsukasa, who is Kamen Rider Decade. You know, that kind of mysterious, stoic badass. They have a mysterious backstory, and it's about slowly peeling away. And they have momentary moments of being emotional or goof. It's kind of how they break down.
I would agree.
Or is that it?
That's it. I mean, speaking of people being two people being in the same place, that reminds me. Didn't even talk about how fucking phenomenal Waz is in that.
Oh my
show.
God, Waz
That,
is so good.
The guy who plays two different versions of himself, and they're both phenomenal.
Waz is my favorite character. I love his.
I genuinely think he's probably my favorite character.
He's my
in
favorite
that show.
character. I love his Kamen Rider suit. The design's genuinely good.
Was
When Sugo names the Wazes Black Waz and White Waz, Black Waz comments that they are not goats. This is a reference to the fable of the two goats. In the story, a black goat and a white goat meet on a bridge, neither budging. As a result, they lock horns and both fall into the river. And finally, the final bit of just Kamen Rider trivia generally. The term Henshin was actually introduced by the second Kamen Rider, Nigo, as Ichigo originally only just transformed by going on Cyclone and using the wind without saying anything. Hopefully, one day you guys will see the actual version of this video. But hopefully you'll learn a little something today.
Yeah.
What? Go on!
I love how he just periodically will just appear out of nowhere to proselytize. It's funny every single time.
Yeah, to prophetize. Yeah.
It's
He's
funny.
so great.
It's funny
Sorry.
every single time. We had to mention Waz. How could not mention Waz? Hey everybody, it's N-Card Justin here again to ask you the question, are you a fan of Kamen Rider? If you are, let me know your favorite season, series, whatever of Kamen Rider. Who's your favorite Kamen Rider? Let me know down in the comments down below. And in the meantime, if you would like to see the full podcast that this video is from, you can click the box on the left. That is our full Tokusatsu episode. We got Metal Hero, we got Super Sentai, we got all kinds of nutso stuff. You can click that there. Or you can click the box on the right, and that's going to take you to a random video that YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy. Otherwise, hit subscribe if you haven't already, leave us a like if you could, and we'll see you in the next video, everybody.